I think I may try in a second. Are you guys on the video?
I am, yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna hit go live and see what happens. You guys let me know if it starts blowing up. So it looks like it's working.
Yep,
I think I may try in a second.
yep.
Are you guys on the video? I gotta.
Let's see it.
All right, I'm just gonna hit go live and see what happens. I think you guys may need to use headphones. You guys let me know if it starts blowing up.
Sorry, hold on.
So it looks like it's working.
Yep,
I think I may try in a second.
yep.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to use headphones most likely. Well, I guess I don't actually have to watch the live stream.
Yeah, because my own voice was coming out through somebody's speakers, and
It
then
was mine. Yeah,
I could hear it on the stream.
right. Yeah, I have the worst setup here. Because not only am I on a laptop, it's like a 2013 MacBook Pro, and the headphone jack. I don't know what happened to it, but audio only comes out of the left side if you have headphones in. So it's totally messed up.
I'm gonna get my headphones on.
Is somebody gonna start a Lee? I'm guessing you start a collaboration session.
Yeah, I'm gonna open up the goal app here. Or Quizzy, I think. There it is. Okay.
That's something.
One person who's like, how do I get in this thing?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it works now.
Is it Vincent?
Oh.
Okay. So this should be the same stuff that we left off with.
Oh yeah. Headlint.innocent. What is that?
I guess I can fire this up too.
What's up?
This is taking a phenomenal amount of time to fire up. There it
What
goes.
The backend?
The React Webpack server.
Oh, right.
There it is.
What board is it? 3000?
Yeah, you should be able to see it in the live server tab if you have one. Let me.
I have no shared servers. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, same.
Stand
The
by.
shared term. Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
Yep, there we go.
Oh, there's the banana.
Yeah, right.
There he is.
All right.
So we're making a quiz app. That's just an open source project to kind of get people to participate in open source. And so we've already coded out a lot of stuff on the back end, but now we decided, hey, let's live stream like the React front end stuff. So we've just been kind of messing around with reducers and the new hooks API and context and all that good stuff.
Nope. So how do we want to actually get started on this?
I think we should just maybe kind of get rid of a lot of this stuff or
I was
comment it
gonna
out.
say, yeah, maybe first I can just remove a good amount of this. I guess. Would we want to maybe start with the context?
Yeah, maybe make like a context.js file.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go ahead and
Like a providers folder, because we'll have like an auth provider, a quiz provider. Probably break it down a little bit more than that, but that's what I can think of off the top of my head.
so maybe something like that.
Yeah.
So I am not super familiar with the pattern here.
Yeah, me neither.
I've been doing something, but I'm not sure if it's the right pattern. So,
I mean, I don't think it would be too far-fetched to even just kind of like have that article up by Kent and maybe slowly follow it, like, or not follow it loosely. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that way we can slowly build this out, but then kind of make it more, I guess, personalized to our needs, if you will.
Sure.
That will at least give us a way to start and a way to go, because I'm still very new with React.
I mean, auth is the only global context. Everything else is just kind of like used when needed, right?
Right.
Right, that's what I was saying, yeah. So let's Lee, maybe you'll want to even put it into the chat, the stream chat, just so everyone can follow along with that if they want.
Yeah, if I can find it.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to do the same thing.
I think he's on Medium. I wonder if I bookmarked it.
Well, you sent it to one of us, I believe.
I think Vic sent it out last time. Okay, I got it.
Oh, okay.
So added it to the chat room.
All right.
And on Slack.
Cool. Yeah, I just put it myself. So I guess we'll skip down to the how did we get there or get here, and then kind of go from there. Excuse me. How do we get here?
Okay, he's got a count context.js file.
Where do you see that?
I think I'm just going to copy it over.
Is in-
So he's got something like this.
Wait, did we want the article that's for authentication or the general?
Oh,
The general one.
I
The
see.
application state management with React. And then we can go back and mess with the other one.
I see. All right, I was confused.
So this one is just a counter example.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got use count, which I guess is the function that you pull in.
I think, yeah, use count is the, excuse me, the function from what I remember, it's the function that allows you to use the context. So basically, instead of having to down below, instead of having to do basically what you would do right here, which is context equals react.use context count context, because you would have to do that down below in your children. Instead of doing that, he just creates a function that kind of wraps that around. That way he can like throw an error if need be or whatnot, and just passes that down. And I think any children could then just basically invoke use count, and then they'll automatically get that context at that point.
Well, what is React use memo?
That's from what I think it's using memoization.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like React's should component update for props, but you can also use it to store other computations in there. What I'm curious about, let's say you have multiple providers, like you wrap let's say you wrap your root in the count provider, but then you down below you do another provider of the same type, and you call the context. Which context is it actually going to trigger?
I don't know.
I just know I just thought about that. I'm actually pretty curious.
What do you mean by that? If you use like the use count and two children, one below each other.
No, like in the sense of, let's say we have an authentication provider, and that's wrapping a root of the app because it's something that might be global or should be global.
Yes.
And then somebody else calls it later on into another section of the app. So there's an auth provider all the way on the top node, and then there's another provider somewhere else in the app. When you call anything that uses that provider within one component, which provider is it really talking to? Is it talking to the direct ancestor or like the one that's all the way on top?
Are you saying using the same auth provider?
Yeah.
One globally and one. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, I think if I coded up a quick example, it might make more sense.
Okay. Yeah, because if you're talking about using the same provider, if you were to use it in this context and use count, I think it would still it would use the context all the way up here. Because what I'm gathering from this is anytime you do this create context, it's going to create a new context. So if you were to do a provider that's lower down that ran this create context again, I'm assuming, I don't know for a fact, but I would assume that it would use the one that's down in the children and not the grandparent, if you will.
Okay. That was the question I was asking. I think That makes sense.
Yeah, from what I'm gathering from this, anytime you run this create context, it's going to create basically a state object at that point. And anytime you run this use context, no matter where it is in the application, it's going to reference the same spot that you did the react.create context for that context, and it's going to reference that state object. Now, if you were, again, like I was saying, if you were to do another create context down below, and then down in there you were to run the use context for that create context, it would use that object and not the one up above. At least that's what I get from this and from what I currently know. I could be incorrect though. I'm not not a great source of truth. I'll tell you that much. Not with React.
So I think the memoize just prevents it from rerunning. At least according to the tooltip.
Does it say? We'll only recompute the memoize value when one of the dependents has changed. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Is basically this is depending on the count state, and it won't. But see, this is what I'm confused about. Is this passing? Oh, I see. Okay. So it's basically passing the state and the state setter to value and passing that down to its children, I believe. But it only, yeah, as you said, it will only run if the state itself was updated.
Yeah, I think it runs that arrow function whenever count changes.
Right.
So it just kind of barfs it back. And then I guess that change would trickle down everywhere. So I suspect it would work if you didn't do that, but I'm not sure. Maybe that's like an efficiency thing.
Right. That's what I don't know what is the reasoning for that.
Let's just like tear down all this stuff in app.js X and just kind of go from there.
Sure.
So I don't know. Let's just comment it out.
Where's Victor?
He's in here.
Right.
Oh.
What is up?
So
what are we doing? Are we just like doing more context stuff, or are we actually building something?
well, yeah, I think our plan is to maybe start building authentication for Quizzy a little bit, but we started and all of us were kind of like, well, we don't really understand context very well, so maybe we should just start with trying to understand context better first, and
Right.
then go from there.
Yeah, I don't get to practice context much at work because, like, I mean, we have the Redux store already set up, so.
Yeah.
I like bananas a lot, huh?
Yeah, it's my default variable. Did I have some other CSS in here? Oh, that must have been from styled components. That's what it was.
Hey, which what localhost are we running from?
3000. Cool. So let's just try and bring in the context here. So we've got I guess we can import this, and we're going to import what is that?
I have no idea.
Oh, that's going down.
Good lord.
It's fancy.
Let's see how
Gonna
Kent
try to
does it.
find
So he's got.
I haven't read that article yet.
Just gonna put it down here for readability's sake, and then we called this off context. he just has something like that.
Right.
Yep.
Why is it called account provider? What is it?
What's that?
Oh, you're
What
pulling.
is account provider? What is it? What is it counting?
It's just a counter. It counts like button clicks or something, but we need to change it to like auth provider and
Yeah.
Right.
make it like say is logged in or something. So something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we probably want
Right.
to change this as well. So it'd be like, I guess maybe auth context.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So something like that maybe.
yeah, this will. Yeah, you want to change this to auth context as well.
Well, what was that?
Yeah, that's what. I'm not sure what that was.
Is that the
It was
that's the
use
component?
auth. You want to do use auth or something of that nature.
You
Yeah,
said use auth?
that was use count. So I don't know if we want to call it use auth. I'm not sure if that. Or yeah, because it's basically it's saying you're using the auth context, I believe. So you could probably even, if you wanted to make it more verbose, you could call it use auth context. I guess it's totally up to us how we want to do that.
I need to read that article.
Hmm?
I need to read that article.
You can pull it up. I posted it to Slack.
Yeah, we're not even on the authentication article right now. We're just kind of going off the context provider article or application state management article that he had and trying to slowly roll our own as we learn through context. So then here we'll probably want to change this to
Like a bool or something.
yeah, like false. I assume.
Wait, where's use state coming from?
Where's what? I'm sorry.
Oh, never mind.
He's saying React dot use state. So
Oh, yeah.
I use
Right. Yeah, you could.
yeah, you can destructure and import it in as a default form. I mean, not a default.
Right.
You know what I mean.
Yep. So at that point, instead of having banana here, we could create an actual component that then reads that.
yeah, let's do a header component.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
we've already got a header with a message in it. So
Mhm.
we could just have the header itself pull in the context.
Right. Exactly.
So let's go ahead and Yep, it's already imported, so we can just
Whoa, I just lost it.
This import is not working for me.
What's that?
Can't resolve. Oh. never mind. Right.
that should do it.
So,
Hmm.
Is it because it's like after the comment?
what's wrong?
I don't think so.
Like, should it be all the way up here?
It was fine for me.
Yeah,
It
for
doesn't
some...
work for me. It says failed to compile. Let me read.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it goes. It worked.
I just had to bring the console back up for whatever reason. Cool. So let's
Go into the header.
yeah.
component. So here, I think you would just be able to do use count, or I'm sorry, use
It's
auth.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah, here we don't need the provider, right?
right. Yeah, I think you can just pull and use auth from provider's auth context. And then in the other one, I don't think you need use auth, but that doesn't really matter. And then you would, I guess, create a. I don't know if you would just call it or if you. I'm not really sure how you would do it at that point.
So it looks like we need
Well, it returns your context, right? Like, can you use the structure after return?
Oh, is that what it does? It returns the context? I wasn't looking.
Yeah, that's what it does.
Yeah, it returns context. Okay, so yeah, you would set it to a variable then.
Right, and then you can the structure probably the two that is logged in and set logged in from the context. Am I understanding this right? Right.
Wait, what are you trying to do?
I'm saying, yeah, just like what Lisa.
Wait, why is use auth wrapping use context?
why is use auth coming from auth context?
Oh, wait, all use auth does is return context.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
Yeah, it just returns the context. So this should be
Right.
and like set logged in.
Would you do it like that, or would you use the curly braces? I don't know if it matters or not.
I think it's an array, so
Are you? Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure.
this is cool. It's giving us nothing. Oh, there it is. It's in white. That's funky.
Where is it?
For some reason, the CSS is white there.
Oh, I see. I see.
Oh. There we go.
Hey.
So is logged in is set to false, and so we've got please log in.
Right. Pretty nifty.
So now we need like a login button.
I was gonna say, yeah, now I wanna create a button so that we can change that.
So let's steal this out of header and drop this in app. And then let's put a button down here. Let's steal. Nope, I don't want set. Well, I guess it could be set logged in, huh?
Hmm.
So if you're logged in, you want it to say log out. List out of. Right? All right. Use auth must be used within an auth provider.
Hey, it worked.
Who's
Yeah.
auth must be auth provider?
So is this because we used it in app?
No, it should.
No,
work
because
in
headers beneath it.
Yeah. It's
Oh, I
fine.
think it's because you
Yeah,
guys
but it looks like you have it
here.
Oh, because you have it up here, yeah, and it's not being used within, yeah, because it's up above outside of the auth provider.
Oh.
That makes sense.
Still lingering.
So you should probably do that inside the actual component itself, right?
Well,
So that would have to be in the button.
Ideally,
Yeah,
button
so
would
what,
be
what I was thinking is this button, because I mean it's part of the header anyways. This would be inside of the header, yay or yes,
right. Yeah.
and then so you would have that kind of like up on here, well,
Let's just do this for now.
inside of the context itself.
I just realized I've been doing this backwards. For the apps I've been working on, I've been using the hook inside the provider rather than the provider inside the hook.
What?
Wait, what?
The hook inside of the provider rather than the provider.
So like what's an example? Let me see if I can pull it up. This is a window. I have a couple things to fix in some projects then.
Now we're blowing up.
So
I think it's running is the problem. Let's try that. Bam. Okay. Hey, it's working. Sweet.
Hey.
oh, okay, I see. What you did there.
Please log in.
So now, I guess we could drop that code like wherever. If we wanted like the login button to be in the header, like you were saying, we could just copy it over or cut it over or whatever.
Yep.
Who has the infinite loop?
That was because I didn't have an anonymous function wrapping this. So it was like every time the login button rendered, it would call set login
Mhm.
because I had the parens, which
Yeah, which invokes it.
novice move.
Wait,
So
what
now
was
should
it?
the auth provider also return the user that's logged in? Or no?
Well, yeah, you have to have a user actually log in first. You gotta
Let's
capture
do
that.
it. Where's that back end code?
I don't know if I guess I could clone it down and try and run it. And then like share the port. But I mean this is
Yeah, I mean, you would have to create inputs and things like that all first. Because
Yeah.
you're gonna have to create that information. So yeah, I mean, we could basically build out a login form right now if we wanted to.
Imported from material. Let's go.
oh jeez. Should we fire up like React Router or Reach Router or something?
Sure. Why not?
My vote is for
Yeah.
React Router.
Your vote is what?
I vote for React Router just because I need to learn how to use it. But let's do
What's
it.
the other router you can use?
Your React router or Reach router? Oh, you guys probably use the React router on that question, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What's
The only
Reach
reason, huh?
What's Reach router?
That's like, it's one of the components that's built in that whole new Reach thing that Ryan Florence is doing. The only reason why
Facebook one? No, is Reach the Facebook one or no?
no, Reach is it's like I don't know if he's making it like a company or whatnot, but he's basically making a component library, and Reach Router was like the first component he made, and now he's making all these other components under the Reach namespace, and he's basically making very accessible components. That's the main reason for it, which is the main reason why I actually like Reach Router better because it's very accessible.
I like Next.js the most.
Well, yeah, but
Next is so
actually,
simple.
from what I've read, Next.js actually uses Reach Router under the hood.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from what I've read.
It's so simple. Like you throw your pages in pages and you use a link. You don't have to worry about that shit.
Right. Yeah, it's very opinionated.
It's so nice.
That's actually so. That's one of the. I know you guys are gonna hate me for saying this, but that's actually one of the big benefits of Angular, is the fact that it's very.
Oh god.
Yeah, I know.
Or use Vue, where there's Vue Router and Vuex. That's your only two choices, really.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Or like I was doing Laravel last weekend, and Laravel's pretty dope.
Yeah. So do we want to? Is that seriously a color name? Rebecca Purple? You gotta be kidding me right now.
No, it's actually
Googling it.
it's a color named after a girl that I think died of a tragic illness.
Oh,
Purple.
okay,
No,
never mind.
I'm kidding.
I know I feel bad.
It looks really nice too.
It's purple.
How do I get a color named after me but not dying?
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
I want Victoria's gold.
There you go. So do we want to maybe? I don't know. I'm a huge person of like organization.
Same.
Yeah. So what are you thinking? I'm just kind of messing around while we.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking maybe we could create first off a components directory, and start building out like our login page, if you will, that's built like made of a few text fields that could all have they could all be components. Like we could build a text field component that does like front end validation and things like that. And then we could have a login button component like you have there.
Right. I
You-
second this.
Sorry.
I second your notion.
Yeah. And then we could have actually a login window or however you'd want to call it that would compose all of those components together to build out our little login page.
Do we want to practice like doing custom CSS everything, or do we want to import like a library?
React Strap.
React what? What's it called?
React Strap.
Bootstrap for React. Bootstrap?
Oh, geez.
Dude, at my work, we use Ant Design.
What's it called?
Ant D.
Ant D?
Yeah, look it up.
Cool.
It's like Chinese, some Bootstrap or something.
Ant D.
It's like Ant Design.
Oh yeah, the world's second most popular React UI framework.
I don't know about that, but
So we just have straight up custom Sass.
I just vote for material. That's my vote.
Yeah, it doesn't.
What do you think? Put it in the chat, YouTube chat.
Oh, there you go.
And then our
Interesting.
what's it called? Our clickbait can be like you won't believe what UI framework they use. Or something.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Oh, nice. You got the components director. What do
You
you?
work,
What do you?
you work in real trucks, right?
Sorry.
You work in real trucks,
Yeah.
or whatever.
hmm
Do you guys ever talk about Ram Lover 69?
No. What is that?
It's,
That one dude.
do you know him?
I know what you're talking about.
Dude, come on, you work at realtruck.com. You don't know Ram Lover 69?
No. Is it some kind of meme or something?
It's
This
this
guy
dude
on
that
Twitter.
just yeah.
Or
You can
Instagram.
explain it. Man.
Yeah,
Oh, Twitter
it's
guy.
yeah, it's a Twitter or Instagram guy or whatever, and he's just always talking about fucking Dodge Ram superiority, and he'll like grab a video of people cheering, and he's like, "Damn, I've never seen people as happy as that one time when Dodge Ram was on sale and oh, with his 5-star energy, like not energy, 5-star safety rating, whatever." I don't know. It's just funny. You have to watch it. How
Wait,
about
Lee,
that?
do you work with Jeremy?
Jeremy Pursuti?
Yeah.
He works there, but he's not in our office.
Oh, okay. We're trying to figure out some stuff out.
What do you do at work? What is your typical day? What do you work on?
We work on the website, so the main like realtruck.com.
That's pretty dope.
So what are you trying to do here with the toggle state?
I was wondering how to do like a simple CSS hover with style components, because like I want things to transition when I hover over, so like the colors change, but I don't know how to trigger that, like purely in JavaScript land.
Oh,
Because like I don't know how to do, I guess, a pseudo selector in style components. Maybe it's easier than I think.
Dude, I'm lazy. I always just import this library. Like,
I guess I'm not 100% sure. What you mean.
what's the one I was learning the other day? React Springs. React Springs. I mean,
So you're trying to get it to change on hover?
hmm
Can you not just actually like? Oh, I see what you're saying.
well, you don't have anything in mouse enter. Oh wait, no, it's commented. Wait, what?
So yeah, I guess.
Why does it look grayed out for me? Like this whole
Oh,
thing. Looks,
okay, it's and hover, I think. What's grayed out for you?
the whole return statement.
I don't know. Maybe because you need like some kind of special syntax highlighting thing for VS Code for style components.
Mm,
Yes, you do.
no, I can see all this. I can't see the return. Like it all looks commented out, but it's not. Oh, it just randomly fixes it.
Whoops.
Okay, so
It's kind of like Sass or Stylus
yeah,
or
that's
something.
exactly how you do it in Sass.
Let's see if it works. Not
So
great.
I've been copying it over into an actual login button component file as you're doing it.
Yeah, if you
Doesn't
just
work.
want to like copy it over, then we can do that.
That's what I'm doing. So I guess we don't need a help state at that point.
It doesn't work for me.
All right, so now let's see this. Oh, this computer version with the one on this. I'm not change.
Do you think it's because he used the reserve keyword or no?
Oh, no, it wouldn't let me save it because it said that it was up
Oh,
to
wait, never mind.
yeah. So now we should be able to import that. Import login. Um,
Do we want to delete out this commented out code?
I just have it collapsed.
I mean, I guess we don't really technically need it.
Get rid of it.
It's gone.
So
My reducer code.
Bring it back.
So then at that point we can. Oh. Oh.
Oh my gosh.
He's trying to bring it back.
Lock down the Control Z action, folks.
No, that was my fault. I didn't realize that actually it was gonna go all the way that back.
Oh, you're fine. So, okay, at that point, yeah, we're still good to go, I think. Let's save it and see. We still got a button. Nope, we got a fail to compile. That's always good. Okay, resolve. I think it's not a good button. There we go. Yeah. What did I do? Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot. Why did I do that? Yeah. Sorry, I'm used to R relative paths at my.
Fucking angular doors.
Values cannot context in this area. It's because we have to go up there. Yes. Save.
Wait, what? No.
It was in the. No, not the header. I'm sorry. I thought I had the login button.
Oh, and header.
Login button. Yeah.
Okay, so I think. What are we working on? Just login.
Yeah, I was trying to get trying to build out some components for like a login screen, if you will.
Right.
Right.
So we just have this simple button that we can just keep here for now. I think the next thing that we should tackle is building a. Do you mind if I just get rid of this banana?
Yeah, it's fine.
Building a text field that allows for like local validation. So, for instance, let's make a new file. We'll call it just text field for the heck of it. You guys are lucky. I'm so used to writing .ts that I almost wrote that.
You can bring TypeScript. I'm not afraid.
Oh,
You want your little. And TypeScript is like bowling with the shoulders on.
Yeah, it's actually a lot. I like it. It's a lot of fun for me. But
I'm just kidding. I use TypeScript a little
Alright.
bit.
so, I always forget how to start these files, and I always just copy and paste.
What do you mean? Oh, just install React snippets.
Or you could
Is it RFC.
RFAC.
RFC.
RF. Yeah. React Functional Arrow Component. RFAC.
So we can say value set value.
There it is.
What's that?
I just had to add semicolons to get style components to work.
Hey. Good. We ain't no Ruby. We like my semicolon.
We're not gonna need this. Okay.
Wait, where did you put your semicolon?
Just at
I
the
was-
end of each CSS line.
They're still blank for me. What the fuck?
Yeah, they're still blank for me too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm in login button.jsx,
Oh.
not text field.
Yeah.
Actually, can we call it the same? No, we can't, right? So let's see. Field. Oh, you can't even. Which we have to do like import, but I don't even really care about this right now. In fact, we're just gonna do this.
That should have worked.
What's that?
The style.input.
Yeah, no, I know, but I don't even know what I would put for a style. Like a regular input works fine. So then let's do input. Say value equals value.
You're gonna need to wrap everything in a div or something.
Oh, right. Good call. Oh, but can't we? Because I wouldn't really want to do that. We can do this whole React.
React dot fragment. That's
Sorry?
fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Now, let me ask you guys, because you're probably going to know this more than I do. I've seen in some things people just do like this. Is that exactly the same thing? I assumed it, but I just wasn't sure.
It is.
they
It's
do
just a
what?
shortcut.
Oh, that, yeah, it is. I've never used it.
Actually, I like that better. Just simply.
I like.
That must be in the scope we're using JSX. Is that because, oh, it's because we're not doing this.
Right.
That's
So-
not gonna work if you're not calling React.
I'm sorry?
On input,
import.
on input is not a thing, right?
It should be on change.
On change.
Well,
On him.
wasn't it but isn't there, what was it? I think David said something in the chat not too long ago that we should be using on input and not on change anymore.
Yeah, don't listen to David. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, I mean, I didn't just listen to him. I actually went and after that because I was curious and I went and read the article because he referenced an article and then I read like some stuff where Sophie was saying that it really should be on input and not on change.
No, that was like a wish. It's not that it was implemented. It was just like a wish.
But aren't they exactly the same? Because there is an on input.
It
From
says
what I can read, there is an on input.
What do you want to wait to
says
find out?
Hey, Rosalie.
the difference is that on input event occurs immediately after the value of an element is changed, while on change occurs when the element loses focus. According to
Okay,
W3
so on
Schools.
blur.
Wait, what?
Apparently, I mean that's what it says.
Yeah, so on change is to me that sounds like on blur.
But I know like still having the input focused when I type on change updates it in real time. So
Interesting. Oh, well, no, I'm okay. Well, we can do on change. That's fine. Because I actually use on input in Angular, for this, and then on Blur for the other for their on change, I guess.
Wait, I'm just curious. Will it work in React? Like if we use on input, will it work?
As far as I know, I remember seeing it in the docs that it is a very okay.
Let's try it.
This is where my syntax. I think it's like this, correct? And then I would put in like
Callback, yeah. And then
set value.
I mean, the React docs have on change, not on
no,
input.
no, there's no this. There's no this. We're not in a class.
Oh, right. What is it?
What does input
How do you
return?
get the updated value? Do you know?
Yeah.
Yes. Gotcha. So it'd be what event dot target dot value,
Right.
Right.
and then I also read somewhere and just recently where and this that's right. So apparently, doing event dot target dot value is not exactly correct, and you really should be doing event dot current target dot value.
Yeah, I read that too.
Yeah, and the only reason why I know this is because in TypeScript, event.target.value is incorrect and undefined, and it's because I went down this whole rabbit hole of the reason being. But event.target, long story short, found out through a whole bunch of GitHub issues, this, that, and the other, that event.currentTarget.value is the more valid choice to use. But that doesn't really matter. Anyways,
I've never been bitten in the butt because I
yeah, no, event.target.value definitely works for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, apparently, semantically, I guess, or something of that nature, event.currentTarget.value is actually more correct.
Right.
It sounds like
But
something to satisfy the TypeScript compiler. Was that what it was?
No.
Are you sure?
I mean, sure, yes, you're right. That does satisfy the TypeScript compiler.
Uh-huh.
But hold on. The reason why it's like that, 'cause if you actually look at the types, like the HTML standard types, event.target is just a empty type, but event.target.value or event.currentTarget actually has like an object of certain things.
Oh, it's the way the event bubbling works.
Yeah,
Okay.
something of that nature. So, anyways, right. So this should technically give us our new value as we type it, correct? I guess we have
It
to
should.
do it first. Export default.
The discussion goes back all the way to 2011.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I was just looking into that, and like that discussion goes all the way back to 2011. So
Yeah,
it's not a
yeah.
bad-
There was a few, exactly. There. That's what I was saying. There's a whole long discussion about the difference between them and all this stuff. So actually, Victor, instead of doing this, so we can keep the components themselves. Sorry, this is my, I guess, was it OCD or whatever? To keep the components componentized into themselves, let's actually make a login component that then composes both of these components together. So that
Yeah,
you have
let's,
your login button component and then a few text field components that are composed together into a login component. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And actually, since you're starting that, I'll let you take the reins and you can continue this.
You want to make it into like? Oh, that's yours.
So yeah, like create a new file and call it login component, login.ts or
Okay.
I made it in a pages folder.
or yeah, there you go.
Right.
That's
That
good.
makes more sense. Oh, you already did it. Wait, should it be capitalized?
No, the import or the React.
The file name. I've always named my. I don't know. It's. I guess it's preference. I've always named my file the same as I'm naming the main component in that file.
Oh, I see.
You see where you're saying? But
Yeah.
it's whatever, it's preference.
Yeah, I think it's exactly this preference. Okay, so yeah, whoever wants to take the wheel, I will take that for a while.
Nobody? All right. I'm on this thing.
There you go.
What? I'm doing it. Go. Oh. Wow, I'm coding on the one that says deleted from this. Nice.
So we're following the.
No, that's like I lost my what is it called? I lost my position. Whatever you want to put. I can't English. My turn. I lost my turn.
Do you guys always go with like a pages like folder and like throw your pages in there, or how do you guys normally structure your things? I'm just curious.
Yeah, for me, I mean, as far as React, I have no idea. I've never really done an app structure in React. I know, as I'm guessing we probably all know, Next obviously does that because it's opinionated on that point.
Right.
I personally don't mind doing things like that. I again, I'm a big proponent of organization, and I like having like shared components in a components folder at least. And then, yeah, I'm certainly open to the idea of having page components in a pages directory. I kind of like that, but that's just me. What about you guys?
Well, I tend to go components, and I have a containers folder, and inside that, those that container folder, I usually kind of like do my routing. Like I have like a container for like a specific domain, right? If it's like the settings thing, will be like it'll kind of like manage the whole settings branches, I guess. Really the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's actually how I would do it in Angular. I didn't know if this was the same. But Angular has modules, and modules are technically your pages, if you will.
Mhm.
Well, they can be. They don't have to be, but a lot of the times a module is kind of like your page, and then a module will have all of your components within that page. And as you're saying, you'll have your containers, which are kind of like your smart components, the ones that do all the data fetching and data passing and all of that nature. And then you have your dumb components, which are in a components folder that just basically take in inputs, but in this context, props, in React context, props, and they will do whatever they do with their own local state, but they'll take it in and they'll pass data back out. So they don't actually do like any data fetching or anything of that nature. That's all within the container component.
Yeah, something similar. Because I have a hard time thinking about pages if I'm doing like a dynamic app, like a very dynamic app. You don't think in terms of pages.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're right, because I mean, what is a page at that point, right?
Yeah.
Because you could have certain components coming in and out, but the whole page itself it could still be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I totally understand that.
Cool. So now we've got a login button and a text field, but now we need to, since you have the state local to the text field, like how do we get that back out?
Right. I think that's where
It's complaining it doesn't have an unchanged handler.
What?
It's complaining it doesn't have a unchanged handler. On
Oh, really?
Where is that?
Open up the console.
That's funny.
There you go. No on input bullshit.
Predator value property function without non-nature display. When they read it, field should be mutable use. Oh, actually, well, the on-change thing might still be the case, but I ran into this myself, and I forgot. So on the text field, you want to do not value, but default value here.
What? Really?
Yeah, that's what it's
What?
saying. See that. I have
Wait,
no
what?
idea about the
Wait, what? That
change portion.
That worked?
that worked?
Oh, there you go.
What the hell?
Oh, fuck. Alright, that's it. This whole study session was a success.
Everything I've learned so far is a lie, man.
So what I've learned so far is more verbose ways to do this stuff I already knew how to do.
He's slowly taking us to the TypeScript route. That's why.
It's like what you guys really need to do is write an essay just to implement a text input.
If this were ugly fucking TypeScript, you would have to come in here and do like React dot element and
No, actually,
Oh boy.
all you do is this. Bam.
oh my god, that's way too much, dude.
What's the FC for?
Functional
And
component.
then it will no because it would scream and be like, oh, you haven't provided an interface for your props, bro. Like,
Well,
what do
that's
they look
true.
like?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and that's you create a models directory that has all your interfaces.
Oh
And you
Right.
lord.
create a props
That's too much.
interface. that
That's
you
too much work, dude. That's too much
have. Yeah, that's true. So,
work.
I just
I mean-
again, it goes back to the whole organization. I like knowing exactly what's coming in and what's going out, which is why TypeScript and I get along very well.
I mean, that prevents people from passing down
No,
props
okay,
and
well-
trying to use weird component.
Yeah, but
Right.
React has prop types built in, so
Right.
Yeah,
But who uses prop types?
I do.
yeah. From what I've heard, prop types is not great though. I guess I don't really know. I've never used it.
I don't use it.
I've heard the same things about TypeScript.
Okay. Well, yeah. I guess to each his own, huh?
I don't use them. But I did use TypeScript in our backend for a task I had at work, and I had to throw in an optional, and I was like, I can't. And optionals are fucking dope, dude. Optionals are your friend.
Yeah.
I think is there like a proposal already in place for that?
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
is it-
No, optional is a proposal. It's just I think it's in like stage 2 or possibly 3, something of that nature. So you won't see it for a little while.
Yeah, but it's always a pain
Yeah.
handling those cases where you don't know if the value is going to be there or not.
Yeah, that I really, really hope that it will go into proficient or whatever that word is, because having to do the object and the object dot the property is just so annoying. I absolutely hate that. Just to check if the property is set or whatnot.
Right.
Okay, so that being said, I think at that point we would pull in our use auth here, correct, Lee?
So on the login
no.
page, like you've got state scoped to text field and then also to login button. So I think what we really want is like a form, and that form would have the state of the form, and then these text field and stuff would be like kind of dumb components.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
so
that's
it wouldn't.
exactly what I was thinking, or like.
Are you talking about prop drilling into them?
What's that?
Are you talking about prop drilling into them?
More or less, yeah. Instead of having the text field manage its own state, like it would take
Right.
the form's state, and so it would get like a setter and a getter, I guess, as a prop, and then that would be like on the default value and on input, or value and on change for normal people.
Does value and on change actually work together too?
Yeah, it worked. Or
That's what the React docs have. So that's like probably the way that 99% of people do it that haven't been in a TypeScript vortex.
What, personal, unexpected, what did I do? There's this somewhere else. This is in login. What happened in login? Let's see.
So I think that you should name those props as like value and set value, or state and set state, or something like that. Or like input value and set input value, because you're going to use it twice.
Right.
So like,
That's what it is.
whoops. Like that.
Why
And
would I
then-
do it twice though? It looks kind of.
Well, because you're building out a form. You're going to have two text fields, one for username and one for password, right?
Right.
Right.
And then this would be like password.
Right. Yep.
Set password.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Should that be part of one state tree or two separate ones?
So that's an interesting thing. You can actually build an object inside of useState, but I think at that point, like, you're kind of approaching useReducer. So I think it's probably just simpler to use useState twice.
Yeah, I wonder if there's been an official, like, this is how it should, like, not how it should be done, but, like, this is how we envision it happening, you know what I mean?
The problem
Correct.
with making an object in useState is you have to, like, do that sort of reducer pattern where you're spreading the rest of the state
Oh, yeah, for sure.
to, like, recreate the entire state every time you change one piece of it, which kind of sucks. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, you could always, no, you couldn't. Never mind.
I mean, who takes care of building the object that's gonna go into the backend? The login component or the auth component? Because in that case, the auth component just receives the password and the username, and then builds the object that gets into the backend. So it doesn't matter at that point.
Yeah, no. I totally agree with you. I wasn't saying that we needed to have the object created. I was more so just thinking, like, what is the, I guess, better pattern to do? If it's to keep the state as flat as possible, or if it should be like a nested object. I'm assuming it's to keep the state as flat as possible. That just makes sense to me, but
Yeah.
because yeah, you're right. You would grab whatever those things are, and then you would pass them up to, say, your logging component or auth component or whatever it is. That's actually like basically your container, as you were describing earlier, and that would bundle it up as a model, and then pass that off to an API request.
Mhm.
So, are you able to, like right here, would you be able to create a initial state that these take? Yes?
yep. You're talking about the two use states?
Yeah, so like, for instance, because at that point you could use an object for at least the initial state, yes? Or you probably wouldn't want to do that either, no?
You could.
I'm just wondering if you would want to though.
I think that would be like what we were talking about before with the reducer pattern.
That's what I'm saying is you're walking into that same exact thing.
Right.
Because
Which
then
I think is cleaner. But
yeah, well, because what I was thinking is, and maybe I'm, the way I would see it is you would have, I guess this is your logging component. Your logging component would have your model, right? And your model, then your logging component, whatever your container is, would pass the model down to your children, and you would pass like each of their values down to their children, and then they would pass their whatever is done in the children, when it's finished, it would pass its completed value, if you want to call it that, back up to the container. The container would take that, put it back into its model, and then pass the model off to the API request, if that makes sense.
That's a lot of boilerplate.
Yes and no. I mean, it's really just it's using your container and dumb components.
Because at some point this is gonna use the like we're gonna have
Right. This would all be in context.
Okay. Yeah, but where would the API request be made? You're not going
in
to.
the
Yep.
within the context.
Context?
Yeah, within the context.
Yeah,
'Cause at that point,
we'd probably need like a reducer in the context.
Oh,
yeah, we are.
yeah, well then that's that's just my unfamiliarity with how context works.
Contexts are like your so can you think of context as like the thing that goes right before the reducer fires? So your what are they called? Chunks?
Boy, I don't know anything about thunks.
Yeah, I don't know what a thunk is. To be honest with you.
Or like Saga or whatever the middleware that runs before the reducer. So the context kind of acts like as the middleware because the reducer has to run without side effects and has to run synchronously. So and this is one thing I was debating with myself: do I run? Let's say I need to do a side effect. Do I run it right before the reducer, or do I call it in a use effect that runs after the reducer updates? And sorry if I got derailed there. Where's this?
Well, okay. Well, let me ask you this: when are you you have to pass the values to the context at some point, right?
Yeah.
Because
So-
you're basically doing exactly what I had said originally, anyways. You're just doing it in context instead of a container component.
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, it's no more boilerplate than what you're already currently doing, or you were
Right.
supposed to do.
Yeah, with the way we're doing things now, yeah. Oh wait, I would just use. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll just use path return context.
Yeah, I think it returns you is logged in and set is logged in, I believe.
Yeah.
And we need to have return something else. Because we should be able to get back some sort of like where is it? Like a login and then it will be here.
You mean like a function?
Yeah, return a function where we can pass in the username and password.
See, that's
Right.
yeah, that's what I was wondering is how are you going to go about doing that?
Middleware. No. I just wanted to use it.
So you're telling me that within your context, you're going to create a function that is going to take in two arguments, one username and password technically, and it is going to make the API request. And on the response, if it's a successful response, you are then going to set is logged in or set logged in the, because then there's no point in passing set logged in around anywhere, correct? Because the only time you would set logged in is when you're making the API request.
Correct. So we probably need a way to segment that somewhere else.
Yeah, so I mean, passing this in doesn't really do us any good. There would be no reason to set logged in anywhere else other than within the auth context itself, if I'm understanding this correctly.
Well, set logged in could go in the login function.
Right, but the login function, we are going to provide it. It's going to be in the context,
Right.
the auth context, right? So you really only need to set logged in after you get a response from auth, a success response from the auth API request. Well, the auth API request should only be happening within the login function. Well, the login function definition is going to be within the auth context, and we're just going to call it. We're going to pass it through and call it somewhere else. But the actual function definition itself, where the function is going to be called, is just within the auth context. That being said, sorry.
What if we just send out dispatcher? So instead of passing out the actual functions that do that set thing or things like that, we just kind of like give down something that where you can dispatch an event, and then we have a reducer in the auth context that takes care of handling that event,
Right.
or functions that dispatch whatever, just events. Let's use events.
But how are you?
There's so many ways you can approach this.
How would you go about actually calling the login method then, or function?
Login event or login attempt event, and then pass the username and password as the payload.
But you would actually make the okay. So my understanding of reducers is much different, because that's actually making a side effect. That's a side effect itself. Like as far as I know, with Redux, a reducer should not be doing a side effect. A reducer should not be doing any kind of function calls. It should just take in some payload, modify the state with the payload, and then pass it back out. It should never make any actual
Right.
call.
But you can also have this would be handled in the middleware in Redux.
Yeah, so I was sorry. Let me rephrase that. I was thinking, you fire the event into the reducer from the context, I think, and then you pass a way to trigger there's some. Okay.
And
Right. Yeah. You would have something that fires off a side effect that basically affects an NGRX.
right. If we can
all this off NGRX. I'm sorry.
if we can tap in the middleware, right? You can fire the event, and then in between,
You would have to have something that catches the action.
yeah, it catches it and
Yeah.
then solves it in the middleware. Once that is finished, then it goes into the reducer and updates your state with the new values. Because the reducer will just return you new state, right? So
Right.
what you're saying is you don't want to handle that logic inside your reducer, which is a good point. It should
Yeah,
always be a pure function. Right?
Yeah. So that being said, I mean, is that not what? Maybe I'm just confused by the name. Is that not what use effect is technically meant for? Is for side effects?
Man, I always use effect just as my component did.
Use effect is kind of like for setting up a watcher, because you can pass
Right.
it a value that will rerun the function when that value changes.
And you can also use effect, and like what you return in use effect gets called when the component unmounts.
Yeah, so it has a cleanup parameter too.
Right. Yeah, I understand that part, but like, what is the? I always thought the reason why it was called use effect is because technically, anytime you're doing any kind of side effects, use effect is technically where all that should be done. Like I've seen in use effect, you're making API requests, you're doing all the calls because those are all side effects.
I've had problems doing
I mean,
API calls inside use effect only because you can't make use effect like asynchronous. So
I think that that this function should be outside of the auth provider, like up here.
which
Yeah,
one?
but I was thinking, how do we pass it down then?
Well, I know it shouldn't be memoized. I don't think.
I don't. That's how, I'm a little bit confused about the whole use memo part there, right? Because
I've never used use memo.
that to me is confusing because I'm like,
Yeah, I'm not familiar with what that is supposed to do. I mean, I understand the concept that it only runs when the dependence excuse me, when the dependency changes, but I don't understand the reasoning for doing it this way. Like, what benefit does this have?
I guess to prevent unnecessary to so you don't end up re-rendering the whole everything that's below the provider. I guess.
Totally possible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about this context stuff to know.
This is the way I've normally been doing my contexts. So I actually use my hook inside the context and then pass the hook functions like like that like manage state into the context rather than do everything inside the context like it is right here. That's the reason, that's what I meant when I like the way you guys did it. It's backwards to the way I do it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and to be fair, this is how like the way you did it is how I've seen it done in different places, which is why I was very confused with when Kent did it this way. I was actually confused myself as to why he did it that way.
I don't get why the use off is. I mean, I guess the part of the whole use off. This is to prevent. This is I guess this guy here is to prevent you from having to call use context within the actual component. So it really is not. It shouldn't be called use off. It probably should be called use off context.
Right. Yeah. That's yeah.
I think.
Sure. Yeah. And that's exactly kind of like I was saying that earlier. You can really call it whatever you want, but it's technically it's just allowing you to use the context that you're providing.
And it throws an error.
Mm-hmm.
I like
So
the throw
it
error.
is-
I
it's
like
just
that.
checking. It's like it's just doing error checking and then passing you the context.
Right.
Okay, so in this case, we should be able to have, in which case we still have another function here that's missing, which is the actual use of hook, the proper hook, right? Am
I
I
don't
making-
think you need to put hook.
and then this is the guy that actually manages the state.
But you
Well, I
get the
think
state
that-
right out of use off context. Like you can destructure it out. That's your state.
Yeah, but then you can end up in a situation where you can't pass in like the login function anywhere,
But you want to pass in a function?
or like I want to be able to call, like for my context, I want to be able to call login. So what do? Do I move this function?
Are you trying to mimic private? Or-
No. So sorry. So let's say I put this function back in, right? That's gonna go ahead and take care of the login, then call the set proper state. Do I just pass this down right here with the values, like that?
That's what I was thinking. Was like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
you would have access to it.
I don't like that.
Yeah. I don't understand the reasoning for that.
I like it.
I don't know why.
Instead of value, they should have named it like store or something. But I'm thinking Redux.
But okay, so here, yeah, go ahead, German. Just do it the way that you know it, and we can maybe just go from there, and we'll just because obviously Kent does it a different way than any of us are used to or understand
I
why.
will read this thing before I can talk about that.
I mean, I get this portion, I just don't understand this portion.
I mean, I kind of get this whole point now. So this you can call this as a hook, rather than when you, so
Yeah.
when you have to use it, you just call this rather than having to call
Yeah.
use context and then build up the context inside the component. So that's
Yep.
that's good. It also does error checking and it encapsulates the error checking within the actual context itself.
Yep.
So I guess we still want to go ahead and move this guy over here, and then
I'm gonna tweet Kent. Yo, get in here. We're having a hype. beta.
can you explain what the hell you just did?
Yeah. Right.
So you can pass a function here. I don't know what the function
I
passes.
think I'm kidding. I'm gonna tweet him.
Yeah.
Do it.
Go ahead. Why not?
Give them the link to the live thing.
But see now, where does this like, where do we do this now? Where do we pass this stuff down? Do you know?
So we would still kind of use like, let me go ahead and structure real quick. Let me get this guy here some lazy. Okay. So I'm gonna comment out this use memo because it's confusing the crap out of me. Then you still just pass. This guy's not here.
Oh,
That's what I normally do. I'm not really a React expert. I'm not actually a backend dev. I just do front end because I have to. But that's the way I've been doing it.
I mean, that looks very similar to the other way as well, except it's more split out.
All right, guys. I think I'm gonna head out, so I need to eat. And
That's
but it
fine.
was fun. Oh, looking forward to the next one. I'll keep watching on YouTube. But yeah, I'm gonna head out for right now.
Yeah,
All right.
no, it's fine. I mean, if we want to make this a stopping point, I'm game with whatever we want to do because I know.
I mean, you guys can carry on. I'm just saying. I just got from work. I didn't eat or anything, so I just want to eat. But,
Well, I gotta kind of go walk my dog before she starts screaming too much.
That's
You guys
cool.
want-
We can just like pause it here, and maybe we can
Yeah.
kind of read into this a little bit in the interim.
Did you
Yeah.
see,
For sure.
tweet him?
yeah, I tweeted.
All right, please update us on how that goes.
Poor
I
Kent.
just spent an hour and a half coding in live share, debating Kent.tag, latest blog post on managing state React. TLDR. We're all confused, but it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Specifically about use memo, but
Yeah, the reasoning for using Memo.
It's okay. I'll let him reply to me. He'll be like, "Yo, what's up? Hop, join us next Thursday," and then he gives us a free workshop.
He just blows all our minds and
man.
we're all just left behind.
talk about dreaming.
Yeah,
All
right.
6 viewers.
It's good publicity. I mean,
I think we'd have a lot more viewers if he was.
Lee got Scott to do it, like talk on his podcast. That was pretty dope.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, maybe he joins us, and we get like a private free class.
Yeah, interesting.
Delete this part from YouTube so he doesn't think we're free though.
It's we're currently live, so
Okay.
No, well, he's not watching right now. That's fine.
I'm guessing, just like you did last time, Lee. I guess just save all this and we'll pick this back up next time then, huh?
yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, I'll see you
That was
guys.
fun. See you guys.
See y'all. Good
Bye.
time.